Alright, welcome back to Cheeky Crypto. My name is Nick, and today, guys, we're talking Vechain. Everything vet, price action wise, from a technical analysis standpoint. As we get into the video, if you find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I really do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and in doing so, you will be kept up to date with absolutely everything that we do here at Cheeky Crypto. And if you haven't yet joined us in Discord, check it out, guys, linked in the description down below. Let's jump right down into this video, right? So here we have a Vechain paired up with USDT, and this here is using the 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 mixed contract chart. Okay, so this one is all about leverage trading. So if you're going to be leverage trading, you don't want to be using a spot trading pair chart. You want to be using something like a mixed contract or some kind of contract. Now this one is obviously using the 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘, and we're on the 1 hour time frame. Okay, now what's really interesting about this is we are seeing a very significant surge to the upside. Again, this is kind of per my original expectations, although I did get a little concerned in the middle about whether or not it had more room to the upside. It's good to see that it's broken this way and that it's pushed up quite a bit, but let's go ahead and review where I think things are heading now. So as you can kind of see, there's all of these pockets on here. These are fair value gaps. Again, I suspect that we are likely to move on down from here. Let's go ahead and jump on over into 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 just so I kind of explain the chart in a little bit more way. So more detail anyway. So if we come over to the trade section, we go over to the USDTM futures section. In here, we'll just give this a quick click. It will load up Bitcoin to start with. We'll come over to the Bitcoin USDT pair here, and we'll type in VET, and we'll go ahead and click on that one. Now, I'm still working on 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘 getting Vechain listed on their spots. It's not actually available on their spot exchange yet, but I hope that it will be in due course. So in here, if we actually take this down into an hourly chart, you can start to see all the fair value gaps that have been marked up on here. So all my historical ones are still on here as well. This is because this is a trading view chart, and it saves all your analysis as well, which is great. So as you can kind of see, we've got the fair value gaps that get created. These are created from imbalances in the order books. Essentially, large orders come on in, and they can't be filled right away, so price has to move to where they can get filled, grab the liquidity and all that kind of stuff. So when your order books are here and you start to see the fair value gaps, it helps you understand kind of what is driving this. And most commonly, when you have a fair value gap like this, price wants to come back down and fill it out. Now this one down here, for example, got filled out over here. This has been done. This one up here has been done. It's been completed. This one's been left behind at the moment. Okay, so we know that there's some room to the downside where we're going to see those get filled out. Okay. Now, we can also note that we have an interesting move back up here, but it's not actually getting the kind of traction that it needs to. So let's jump back down into that chart for a second, right? So, or at least outside of 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗔𝗥𝗘. But if you are looking for a new exchange to be leverage trading Vechain on, then why not check out 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗥𝗘? The affiliate link is in the description down below. 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗥𝗘 is my go-to platform for all of my leverage trading at the moment, and I do about 90 to 95% of all my spot trades through 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗥𝗘. So, why not check it out? If you're bored of Binance or you're concerned over what's going on with Binance, Coinbase, Kraken, 𝗕𝗪𝗪𝗥𝗃, whatever, right, then I think it's important that you kind of, diversify and have access to more exchanges. Like personally, I have pretty much an account with most of the most common exchanges. This way, if something happens to one, I can go to another. I don't keep crypto on the exchanges, but I do use the exchanges for buying a spot, withdrawing, put it into cold storage, or of course, using the exchange for trading like on leverage, right? So I do keep a fair amount of crypto in my trading bag on 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗥𝗘 for leverage trading, but all my spot and my hodl positions, they are all external. I hold those off at the exchange. So it's always great to have access to more exchanges just in case something goes wrong with some of the other ones. You can then start not having to worry and panic about signing up to lots of different things on the fly. Just have those accounts ready to go, or maybe even just use them and try them out. Like I said, affiliate link is in the description below if 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗥𝗘 is of an interest to you. It's gaining a lot of traction at the moment. Let's jump back down into the charts though, right? So as we can kind of take a look at this, we obviously have all those fair value gaps. I just want to focus in on these most recent moves just here though for 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗥𝗘, right? For Vechain on this 𝗕𝗘𝗪𝗥𝗃 contract pair. And as we can kind of see, we have ourselves a structure here from an Elliott wave perspective. Maybe I'll jump over to an Elliott wave series chart in a second for this one. But you can see that we've kind of come up now right up into this area here. This is a premium area, but it's also the 1-to-1 ratio. So it looks like we are kind of looking at being complete. Now, I take a look at this structure. It doesn't actually tell me personally that it is done, because there is one thing that is of interest to me. If I remove that, we can kind of see this little move here with a correction and a big move upwards. This one actually looks more like we are in a 5-wave pattern, and that was a diagonal at the beginning, and we can kind of see it's really had a nice run up there, which means that we might be just looking for a small wave 4 and then a little surge upwards. Not going to be terribly too much more if it does this, but essentially that would basically mean that we are in a structure like that, and it's an ABC, and it'll be a zigzag pattern in total. This is corrective, and therefore would still mean that we're going to be looking for a break to the downside afterwards, and we're going to get some of those fair value gaps grabbed. So it looks like the move to the upside is complete or near enough complete, although if Bitcoin does continue to push, we might see this one overextend ever slightly and continue running a bit more. My original thoughts were that we were going to be pushing out more towards 2 to 2.5 cent, but it looks like this is kind of reaching those upper areas now. As you can kind of see, we had our lows coming down here at 1.231 to 1.484. We wicked down into this range, did not last down there too long, and then we start to move on up. It looks pretty interesting on this move to the upside, but I don't think it is impulsive. Let's just do a quick sense check on that from the very bottom there. And this is a daily chart. Yeah, it's not there yet. So it doesn't look like that's going to be moving up in an impulsive way. So just again, 3-wave structures. So it looks like it's kind of done at this point, and we're going to start seeing a move to the downside. Again, the other obvious thing to kind of check for here is to see whether or not we're at a concerned level down here. We are at one interesting thing, which in my opinion would put us more on the W, X, Y, X, and then Z, because I do think there's still a lot more room to the downside on Vechain. And I say a lot more room, we'll see whether or not that holds, but I think for the most part, we probably are going to come down into a new bear market low on Vechain, because yes, we are still in a bear market. And of course, we're seeing some interesting kind of traction here. We've seen some good gains, and of course, we have to kind of trade these accordingly. I still think we've seen 50% move to the upside, which is quite nice and significant, but a move back down into our accumulation zone, I think, is something that we have to kind of consider. If we do a WXYXZ, I think that next move would be the most recent, or would be a bear market low for a while. I don't think that was going to get broken for a while if we do that. And of course, that structure may morph into something else. But as it stands at the point of recording this video, I think the next move to the downside could be the actual bear market low on Vechain. But it'll be interesting to kind of see how it plays out and whether or not that structure does convert into something a little bit more sinister. We'll have to see. But for the most part, yeah, not too bad. Now we can see that on the stochastic RSIs down in the bottom right hand corner that we're overbought on the daily, we're overbought on the 4-hour, and we're overbought on the 1-hour. But what about the 8? If we jump over to the 8-hour chart, you can see it's still got traction to the upside. And I think the same can be said for some of these other time frames as well. Not so much the 12, 16, or 20, but on the weekly we still have plenty of room to the growth to the upside. The monthly time frame also is in a really interesting spot, which is very different to that of things like Bitcoin. Now, obviously, these are really large macro level timeframes, and therefore, we're not going to be able to be super predictive over those until structures really start to kind of form out. Ultimately, the stochastic RSI is an indication of strength in movement, and on the weekly time frame, it's showing us that we have a lot of strength in the move to the upside here, whereas on the daily time frame, it shows weakness. Now, of course, that can change very, very quickly on these smaller time frames. That can all of a sudden start to support the idea that the macro levels are correct. Okay, so if we start to see that there's very little momentum shifting to the downside and the stochastic RSI corrects very rapidly on the daily time frame, it's going to support the idea that the weekly time frame is going to be pushing the price action up even higher. Okay, but we'll probably jump into that as time progresses. I think for now I'm just going to keep this one nice and brief and end the video right there. If you did find it useful and informative, smash that like button. I do appreciate that. If you are new to the channel, then why not go ahead and subscribe, tap the bell, select all the notifications, and if you haven't done so yet, check out Discord. Link is in the description below. Until the next one though, guys, have a fantastic day.
We are not financial advisors, and none of what we have communicated verbally or in writing here should be considered as financial advice. It is not. Do your own research before investing in any digital asset or affiliate offers, and understand that investing in any crypto is risky. If you do, you need to be prepared to lose your entire investment. This video is for information and entertainment purposes only. All our videos are strictly personal opinions. Please make sure you do your own research and never take our opinions for financial guidance. There are multiple strategies, and not all strategies fit all people. Our videos are not financial advice.